I'm Brownfield Commodity Market Reporter John Perkins at the closing market minute for Wednesday, June 18th. Soybeans ended the session mixed. Not a lot of fresh fundamental news out during the session and not a lot of direction from soybean products at midweek either. Soybeans continue to keep an eye on U.S. planting and development weather. Now, most forecasts do turn hotter in many key growing areas later on this week or early next week, but that's also expected to come with decent rainfall in much of the region as well. In other words, development conditions are going to look nearly ideal, if maybe a little bit hot, and even then those higher temperatures are expected to be pretty short-lived. Corn closed higher, also watching development conditions and taking those as generally non-threatening. The support for corn came from demand. Now, Argentina's corn prices are now below the United States, and that could cut into exports at least a little bit. But despite backing off from last week's record high, it was still a pretty strong week for U.S. ethanol production. And wheat closed higher, clearly in the lead on speculative and technical buying, along with the lower move in the dollar index for much of the session. Chicago and Kansas City took the lead inside of the wheat complex on concerns about more harvest delays in parts of the Midwestern plains. Meanwhile, Minneapolis was watching rainfall chances in the northern U.S. plains and the Canadian prairies. Live and feeder cattle were mixed, waiting for direct cash cattle business to get underway. Things remained fairly quiet during Wednesday's session, with asking prices of $235 plus live and a few bids being reported at $235. Widespread direct trade could end up waiting until after Friday's USDA cattle on feed numbers. We'll see what happens there. And hogs were mixed, adjusting spreads. The pork carcass cutout value was lower at midday on Wednesday, but cash trade was higher. With the closing market minute for Wednesday, June 18th, I'm Brownfield Commodity Market Reporter John Perkins.